Hello and welcome. My name is Quay L. Cobb, and I'm presenting Changing Our Vision Solution Focused Brief Therapy. Now, if you notice the picture in the background, it's a bridge, obviously. But if you notice the direction, the bridge is coming from a cloudiness into a sense of clarity. And that's the overall essence of solution focused brief therapy. We're coming from a sense of not knowing into a sense of accomplishment and achieving goals. So we're going to jump right into it and I'll explain that a little bit more. What problem are we solving? What is solution focused brief therapy? Solution focused brief therapy, or SFBT, is a form of shifting the focus from problem solving to an emphasis on solutions. Now, this is an evolution from a lengthy form of therapy to a shorter form of therapy. It was initially developed by Steve DeShazer and Intu Kim Berg in the early 1980s. SFBT was created at the Brief Family Therapy Center in Milwaukee, which is where it's centered on the emphasis of the client's strengths, skills, and abilities in efforts to encourage the client to practice behaviors that have previously worked for them in the past. Let's get into some history about SFBT. So, from a theoretical background, SFBT is said to have originated from social constructionism, um, which is basically one's perception of what's real and the origin of their problem. The individual's reality, the nature of his problem, and possible outcomes is being construed every day through language. Perception of life is adapted by the influence of an individual's society. Basically, that's their environment, the music that they listen to, their culture, the people they surround themselves with, and the activities they participate in. So, their idea of life constructs their values and also their goal setting. So, so the way a person thinks and the way they behave is solely based on their environment and the reality that they want to attain. So their capacity for change is solely reliant on their ability to be able to see things differently. So their um, their basis of change relies on their vision, and which leads the counselor to change their vision in order to meet their their proposed reality. Now, the next two theories have been rationalized to contribute to the effects and the success of solution focused brief therapy. Bioinformation theory by Lang suggests that knowledge is coded in the memory and needs to be altered in order to produce change. A change in behavior is the best way to modify emotional knowledge. New knowledge has to be added in order for change to be implemented. This is also known as conditioning, which is the replacing of bad emotional responses with more adaptive responses, allowing the client the opportunity to connect other behaviors to experience positive outcomes. We see this in the miracle question, which is one of the techniques used in SFBT, where the counselor will ask a question like, if you woke up tomorrow and everything was perfect, what would that look like? Or explain to me how your day would go. This here gives the client an opportunity to see things differently for new knowledge to be added. So here they put themselves in the place of their new reality, and they tell you the difference between the future and the present. The second theory that's rationalized to contribute to the effects and success of SFBT is the functioning of cerebral hemispheres. So the right hemisphere controls our understanding of metaphors, paradox, and humor. This process is nonverbal aspects of communication, the seeing of images, feeling, and feelings of emotions. Um, with our right hemisphere, we see the world as it is, like a total overview. We can also say the right hemisphere allows us to see things from a bird's eyes view, while the left hemisphere is kind of like a zoomed in view. The left hemisphere allows us for the understanding of science fiction, and it's more of the verbal communication, it's the language. The left hemisphere allows us to process the order of events and sequential knowledge. I hope I didn't lose you at all with this. I know we're getting kind of into neurobiology, but the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere allows SFBT to utilize both by stimulating imagery through hypothetical questions in the right hemisphere, as well as the utilization of analysis and cause and effect relationships through the speech on the left hemisphere. So basically, in essence, this is why SFBT is so effective because it targets the left and right hemispheres of the brain. With the targeting the right hemisphere is where we use the miracle question and to produce imagery to allow the client to put themselves in a position of change, to put themselves in a position of accomplishment and see how it feels, to understand what they have to do in order to get there. While the left hemisphere is the verbal communication, the scaling questions, and the eliciting questions that ask, what would you do, what would you like to do instead of the problem, and what would be better, allowing the client to kind of understand the order of events and sequential knowledge to also see which behaviors they have to partake in order to meet their accomplishments. We mentioned, so going through the theoretical background and the right and left hemisphere, I mentioned miracle questions and scaling questions. So now we're going to go into the details and key concepts of solution focused brief therapy. The first we're going to start out with is positive orientation, where people are seen as resourceful and that they have the ability to control their own lives. Um, the therapist or the facilitator puts their trust in the client, suggesting that the client is the expert. The therapist is to aid the client in realizing his or her own skills and resources and ability. These are the skills and abilities that are within the client but may go unnoticed or overseen. It is the facilitator's duty to highlight the positive aspects of an individual's life as well as what is to come. So the here and now and also the future. The facilitator is to establish what the facilitator is to help the client establish what accomplishment means to him and what will lead to attaining such. Um, while coaching the client to define what accomplishment means and define his or her goals, positive regard is used to enhance the client's confidence, enabling him to continue working on solutions that they have under construction. So clients come in with a problem oriented state, and that is kind of a negative aspect, but it is the facilitator's duty to understand what the client has under construction and the goals that he or she wishes to meet. With positive regard and positive orientation, the counselor facilitates the client to make brief and achievable goals in order to reach their overall goal and change their perspective. The next key concept that SFBT is centered around is focusing on solutions instead of problems. So many other forms of therapy rely on memory and stories of the past to get a overall feel of the current problem, where SFBT only uses stories of the past to recall a time when the problem did not exist. So here we're recalling an exception to the problem. When did you not experience this problem and what was going on around this time? So it's unnecessary to know the cause of a problem to solve it. There is no relationship between the problems and their solutions. Focusing on solutions allows the client to see that they can overcome their problem. If we put the client in a positive space to see that they can surpass whatever they're feeling now, to see that the future is where the accomplishment lies, then we can get them in a positive state to continue accomplishing goals along the way to meet the overall goal. The client choose exactly what they want to accomplish, and the facilitator coaches them along the way, as I previously stated. So the solution is our goal, the problem is in the past. The next key concept that SFBT is centered around is looking for what is working. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I'm sure we've all heard that in the past, but it directly applies to this therapy, this form of therapy. Um, there's an emphasis placed on behaviors that brings the client closer to the goal. So we're going to distinguish between what has worked for the client in the past and what does not. This allows the client to apply this knowledge and efforts to eliminate unnecessary behaviors. So if a behavior or activity didn't work for the client in the past, we're going to stop doing that now because it's not going to get us closer to our goal. We want to know what works for you, what best uses your skills and abilities, and how we can use that to move closer to your goal. We're deconstructing the problems to create new solutions to manifest. Once you know what works, do more of it. Okay, so SFBT is great and it works for most clients, but there are some limitations. Because there's no set formula or no set guide into to SFBT, some group clinicians may overglorify one specific technique instead of exploring multiple. Um, Practitioners or facilitators have to be very skilled and with eclectic knowledge of various different techniques in order to possess skills effective for a multicultural client base. There's an importance of producing specific goals in a short amount of time in efforts to assist clients in attaining their goals. Group practitioners or counselors must be able to effectively use questioning that is genuine but effective in projecting outcomes for the group. The group counselor must trust him or herself in order to realize that they are not in the position of being an expert, instead, allowing the group members to guide the group and grow through their personal discoveries. That is most important because the clients have to realize that they are in control of their lives. Um, they must realize through their own personal discoveries. So it is the role and the duty of the counselor to step back in a way and allow themselves to be a guide rather than a force of control. And this is seen as a limitation because not all facilitators or counselors are able to do so. Um, Allowing the client to grow through his own personal discoveries is a strength and a positive contribution to SFBT. SFBT is an optimistic orientation, assume that the client is able to create their own reality. The positive light is seen because there's no dwelling and pummeling on into memories of the past. We're focusing on the here and now, and we're focusing on solutions, the positivity of solutions in the future. Through this, clients are able to build a more satisfying life in short amount of time. Group counselors do not view clients as being stuck. Instead, they highlight underappreciated characteristics and overlooked abilities. Here, the client is the coach um, to bring clients from mental illness to mental health. It has also been estimated that SFBT produces promising results within 5 sessions. So, the focus of each session is to make it count, allowing clients to focus on what they can do after each session. So, a session of SFBT would is thought to be completely positive, where the client should normally leave ready to take action or ready to realize what actions didn't work for them and what they can do in the future to bring them closer to where they want to be. So, how effective is SFBT? Now, before we jump right into that, I wanted to give a little bit more about the practices and the techniques of SFBT. In 1985, DeShazer says that there are three types of questioning. that will make clients more likely to focus on solutions rather than the problem. So there's elicited questions, which um, which are questions like, "What would you like to do instead of the problem? What is better than what you're doing? And what can you do instead?" There are also questions that provoke details, like, "What would that look like? How does that look? What can you do better?" There are also verbal rewards, which are compliments for every step of the way. As the client progresses, the facilitator is to give positive regard and enhance the skills, the abilities, and the steps that they have made toward reaching their overall goal. This is effective, and in essence, that we're growing with the client and allowing them to see their own growth. So let's get back into this. How effective is SFBT? In Deshaizer's summary of two outcome studies at the Brief Family Therapy Center, he reports that 91% of the clients who attended four or more sessions were successful in achieving their treatment goals. So, almost 100% of the clients who attended, let's say, five sessions, were successful in achieving their treatment goals. They left each session with the new knowledge to act with more behaviors that help them reach their goals. Reviews of research literature on psychotherapy outcome revealed that brief and long-term approaches are equally effective, yet brief methods are more cost-effective. Brief methods would be more effective for those who would be more effective because they're spending less. There's only five sessions compared to a different form of therapy that would need 12 sessions to accomplish the same goal. And that's kind of the obvious, who wouldn't want five sessions rather than 12 to 14? Solution focused brief therapy would be suitable for a variety of clients. Excuse me. Solution focused brief therapy would be suitable for any client who has a goal or can formulate one through psychotherapy. The client must be able to participate in dialogue in order for SFBT to be effective. I've seen SFBT be effective through marriage and family counseling, addictions counseling, as well as in a various amount of different settings with multicultural backgrounds. In order for a person to make progress with SFBT, like I previously stated, all they have to do is have a goal, be able to, excuse me, they have to be able to participate in dialogue, or if they have the help of a caregiver, they can also use SFBT to pursue some progress. Just to summarize everything, SFBT is a brief form of therapy. It's a it's a cognitive behavior therapy, but with an integration of person-centered therapy due to its focus on the here and now. SFBT is future focused and guides the client from the problems they're facing in the here and now to the goals that they wish to accomplish in the future. Now, if we go back to the beginning slide, um, the bridge, people on the bridge are coming from a sense of cloudiness and confusion into clarity, remaining the same person that they are, using the skills and ability and resources that you possess to see life in a different way through a different perspective, changing your vision to reach the goals and accomplishments that you wish to create your own new reality. And that is solution focused brief therapy. Thank you. If you need any more information or any clarification, please be sure to let me know and I can provide that for you. Have a nice day.